um, that level of energy of what we talk about, why we're in this profession, is to do the best that we can and provide children with every opportunity to be as successful as possible. And currently, under status quo, we're not. Under status, we're not. There's no other way around it. We're working very hard. We're not doing it. And for myself, it's coming to work every day and charging those professionals to move forward, and the adults do a phenomenal job, and the kids respond the best they can. But I know every night when I go to sleep that we could be doing a better job in North Reading.
Good. Thank you all. I'd like to turn now to how do we rebuild the confidence in the North Reading Public Schools. This is a school district that is an excellent school district, but this is one where a lot has been pulled out, and the confidence is really sapping out. It's sapping out of all of the educators that you see here, and I know that it's being taken away from students, and it's being taken away from the community. We have proposed in this recommended budget $870,000 worth of restoration of confidence in the North Reading Public Schools. And there's a list, and I'd like to go down that list and very briefly ask why have the principals talk about why and how it is important to restore the confidence by building a strong foundation, starting to build back. And that begins by putting back some positions that are desperately needed in reading and literacy, in special education, inclusion, fundamental positions, the arts, music, chorus, band, art, technology, physical education. But I'd like to start with the elementary principals, because I know that high on that list, if we're beginning to restore confidence, is to build that foundation in literacy and also Christine in inclusion. So I wonder if I could ask the three elementary principals to comment about why are we focusing, why is our priority on building, right at the start, building that confidence back in the area of reading and literacy.
In the elementary schools, so much from when students enter in pre-kindergarten now in our schools, you talk about developmental learning, what's age appropriate, what's grade level appropriate, and how students move through pre-kindergarten through 5th grade. As they get older, you can start to define programs a little bit more. As you see in the middle school and the high schools, you have programs built to meet specific student needs. In the elementary school, in the self-contained classrooms and the way the programs are designed, we accept kids when they're 5, pre-K 3 to 5, and we take them as far as we possibly can. Currently in a school of 550 students, I have one reading specialist who's responsible to service remediation reading, which is regular education reading support to students who may need a little bit of help or support. And I have 2 special educators to support over 550 kids with with the population with identified needs. Our MCAS scores dictate where our needs improvement, which students are proficient. We work tirelessly to ensure that students are skills are remediated so they can be as successful as possible. But as I just closed out, I know that we should be doing more. I know when this all started, we talked a lot about working smarter, not working harder. How do we do what we need to do better with the resources that we have available? And I spent a lot of time going to meet with colleagues in other districts and other schools and hearing about ways. We talk about general staffing levels, we're just not there. We can't meet the developmental needs of students from pre-kindergarten to 5th grade with the current level of staffing we have.
And I would just say that, I know my reading specialist services over 72, 73 students in kindergarten through grade 5. If there's a specialized reading program that's needed, like Wilson or Lips or Orton Gillingham, it requires that they meet 5 times a week. We're meeting 2 or 3 times a week, and that's really not, an effective program. And that's keeping children from going as an outside placement for a special program. The additional staffing, the most important thing, and I know they will probably speak about it, is identifying students early. Kindergarten, grade 1, providing early intervention for children who, if you get them while they're young, you'll be able to get them over that hump, give them the phonetic skills that they need, or any type of remediation that they need. Once they get to be in 4th grade, you'll find that those 4th graders had reading problems in 1st grade. And I don't know how effective, I don't even know exactly what the research says by the time you're giving remedial reading assistance to 4th and 5th graders, and how effective that's going to be when they were missing phonics instruction or whatever in the early grades. So, with additional reading teachers, and we really need a second full-time reading teacher, but we compromised with the boss and asked for a half-time one. So we would allow reading teachers to spend more time with classroom teachers, teaching them specialized reading instruction, mentoring them, providing professional development from them, as well as being able to lessen the current reading teacher's load so that she could be more concentrated and spend more time with the children who may just need her for a short period or a shorter period.
When I sit with my special ed staff and my reading teacher and try to figure out how we're going to provide services to all the kids in our schools who need services, the question always comes up, why do we have so many kids in the upper grades who should have been taken care of in the lower grades? And I think the answer is that we don't provide enough. We don't have the personnel to provide the services to the primary grades. What we need is that early intervention model where we can really identify that group of kids in the primary grades and focus on teaching them the skills they need to learn so that when they get to 3rd and 4th grade, they're not suddenly falling apart on us. In our inclusion model that we use right now at the elementary buildings, our reading teacher doesn't just service students on educational plans. Our reading teacher is there for the general population. So there are kids who are not on IEPs who have reading services who also lose out, because with the amount of students who need that early intervention and the limited staff we have, I think somebody mentioned there are groups of kids who have, for example, Wilson or Project Read, 2 to 3 times a week, who should be getting it 4 to 5 times a week for it to make any kind of a difference. So early intervention is so crucial and critical to our schools and our kids. And if we can provide that to kids in grades K and 1, that'll be better money spent than trying to remediate kids when they get to 3rd and 4th grade. Our additional 0.5 reading teacher in each building will provide not only that instruction, but will provide time for one of those 1.5 teachers to then provide the training that's needed for our staff, particularly the new staff. I know that at my school, they're investigating best practices with Pam Bowden across the district and talking about how to diagnose reading difficulties and how to identify that group of students who are at risk, and we can't do that without that key person to train the staff on how to use the diagnostic tools and then what to use with kids who need that service. So that person will provide that time as well as a direct instruction with kids who need it, and then working with our special educators to develop the plan for our building so that your kids in K and 1 will be best prepared as they move throughout the school.
I'm going to jump in on this because this is one that I'm very passionate about, and I'm an advocate of a full 1.0 for every building. This is the foundational piece. This is from everything grows from the student's ability to read, whether it be math, science, social studies, the arts. If we don't get it right in the beginning, it's a problem that bubbles up and is going to follow us all the way through to high school. Reading is at the foundation of the SAT, so when we're looking at flatline scores 5 and 10 years from now, students who may not be at greatest risk, which are the students we're serving right now, kind of an emergency room model, getting to the kids who have the greatest risk of not proceeding, but there's another group in there that are just getting by. Well, eventually the just getting by manifests itself in problems in the middle school and the high school. So it is in our best interest to get it right and get it right early and get as many kids as solid in those foundational skills as possible for success down the line, because it's a K-12 problem. It's not just an elementary school problem.
Before I speak about the rebuilding and the restoration of confidence in the high school, I just want to make a point on the loss of students from grade 8 to grade 9. I cited the 18% a moment ago. Yet we're still experiencing very large class sizes. I think it's important for you all to know that we continue to transfer new students into North Reading High School. We transferred 2 students, a brother and a sister, last week. So while we may have lost 18% in the grade 8 to grade 9 transition, we've transferred in over 24 students since the summer up until last week. So in terms of a total population in the school, we are right at within maybe just a handful of students where we thought our population was going to be, yet the staffing hasn't been added to compensate for that. So I think that's important for everyone to know. As far as where I would be seeking to add staff, each year when I go before the school committee and the superintendent to propose courses that I would like to have offered to students in the following school year, I've gone before them and seek their endorsement on courses that are not frills, they're not luxuries. They're courses like Advanced Placement United States History. They're courses like Probability and Statistics, SAT preparation courses in verbal and mathematics, physical science, principles of engineering, courses that I think you would see offered in the curriculum in just about every neighboring high school. So we've done a lot in the way of being able to bring about courses that I believe as the principal will broaden the students' educational experience and better prepare them for the next chapter, which, for the majority of our students is to go on to further education at the college level. So for me, I would put staff in the 4 core subjects, English, math, science, and social studies, but with that, be able to continue to offer elective courses to students at the high school, and also to reduce class sizes in some of those core, the grade 10 English, the American Lit, and grade 11. Without the additional staff, it's very likely, in fact, it's almost a foregone conclusion, that not only would I not be able to offer to students next year, the 2008-2009 school year, the courses I went before the superintendent and the school committee about 6 weeks ago, asking them if I could put these into the curriculum, in which they agreed, which I was happy about, but it would be a shame now to have to pull back on that. It would be a shame to not be able to offer some of the courses that we introduced just a couple of years ago. German, for example, was a foreign language I was trying to introduce 3 years ago. It ran for 1 year, we had to cut it because of a staffing limitation. And I think in this day and age, to be a high school that's still offering only 2 languages, Spanish and French being on the chopping block right now, is a travesty. But without additional staff to be able to create some balance in the core areas, it's very likely that unfortunately the electives are going to suffer, and then with that, I think the experience that students have in high school is significantly lessened.
I'm hoping that we do not think that general arts is just a place to put kids who have finished up their core courses, because I live in a town that at times seems to think that around town meeting time, because it's the first things that are cut. And isn't it ironic that the very courses that are lifelong, like art, music is forever, just all of these things are the first thing. I haven't used my trigonometry in the grocery store in a long time. And yet, the very, very place that we cut, the very thing that makes middle school rich and comprehensive and awesome, and I can't wait to get to school, is the general arts. They're not coming in there just because, well, we've got some that love the Pythagorean theorem, but that's not the main reasons that puts the smile on their face. It's all of those things. I'm surprised that with the current statistics about the rise of obesity in this country, wouldn't it also be ironic to find out that maybe the most important course that we're going to offer in the future is phys ed and health? And where are we in that? We're in desperate trouble with that. It just makes no sense.
I'd like to turn this over to you as the audience to tell us, are we in trouble? And secondly, how do we restore that confidence